Hello, everyone. Today we are with Archana, who developed tinnitus about 8 months ago. At that time, there was a sudden loss of hearing, which created a sudden onset tinnitus in one ear. We were introduced to each other via telehealth. Archana's with us today. Archana, when we first were introduced, you explained to me that your awareness of tinnitus was 100% of waking hours. 100% of the time, your tinnitus was there. It was very obtrusive and bothersome, that it annoyed you about 50% of the time. Your volume level was an 8 out of 10. Now we're sharing this message because you have improved since that time, and we want to share a positive success story of tinnitus to our community. I would like to introduce you. Please introduce yourself further and give us some other context of what's been going on.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Archana and I'm from the Bay Area, from the San Francisco Bay Area. In my professional life, I work with students and I am a college advisor and I have a wonderful family. I live here with my husband and my 13-year-old son. So I had COVID in December, and later on, I went ahead and got my Pfizer shot. And 10 days later, I developed tinnitus. It may not have anything to do with the COVID or the shot. It could be incidental, it could be something going on already in my body that may have triggered the response. We don't know about it, but it took me a while to get to know that. And I'm so glad that, as I was going through that journey, my solace was all the YouTube videos by Dr. Thompson. And I saw that and I thought, okay, this seems like the right path for me. And I'm so glad I decided to work with him and worked with him for 6 months, and things have gotten better for me. So.
And during those 6 months, we have this natural period of habituation where the brain has a natural tendency to defocus and improve the attention, the effect, the disturbance of tinnitus. And when that happens, usually the volume gets softer too. In those 8 months, as I said earlier, you went from tinnitus, you were hearing it or thinking about it 100% of the time. The volume was 8 out of 10. And the most recent time we met, which was about 7 months after this started, your awareness of tinnitus improved to 30% of the time, which is a big improvement. And your volume, your baseline level of volume was softer, but you did have spikes of volume. So tell us more details about what changed for you. Was it your brain focusing on the tinnitus? Was it the sound itself? Was it the volume? Would love to get into some details there.
Sure. I think initially it was the shock of it because my onset was very sudden and it was very sharp. It was March 13th. I came home from a little bit of family excursion. We just got in the car, drove around the Bay Area. All of us were vaccinated, except the kid, of course. I came home and I just sat down in the evening. Even an activity like driving around the Bay Area was exhausting. Had been at home for almost a year. And we got around. I came home and I suddenly started hearing this kind of buzzer, some kind of jet engines kind of very sharp noise in my left ear. And I thought initially that there is some kind of, how those mouse traps or those kind of contraptions are to keep the rodents away. Someone in the neighborhood must have started something like that. So I started asking my family members, can you hear that? It's really annoying. It's really annoying. But with that, I also felt that my ear was clogged. And it really bothered me. I couldn't sleep for like 5, 6 nights after that. I was exhausted. The noise was there, and I realized I have tinnitus. It was very hard to make peace with it. But I had no idea that I had also lost hearing in my ear. It just felt clogged like a swimmer's ear, and it was frustrating. And then I started exploring what this noise was, and I came across the word tinnitus, and then I explored it some more on YouTube on how to beat it. And believe me, there is so much misinformation out there which says, oh, just listen to this for 20 minutes and your tinnitus is going to go away. And it did not. And I listened some more and it did not. And it just did not go away. So then I started calling ENTs around the town, and I finally found one who decided to give me an appointment but said, you need to go to an audiologist and get your hearing checked before you come to me. And that is when I discovered that I had lost hearing in my ear. Already about 10, 15 days had passed since the onset of tinnitus. And Then, after I realized that I have lost hearing in my ear, I explored some more on how to deal with the hearing loss and tinnitus. And that's when I came across your YouTube videos and I decided to reach out to you. And slowly things progressed in a way where I started understanding the science behind what was happening, that my brain was creating this ghost noise because I had lost hearing. And it was not going to disappear miraculously. I had to work on it. I was not going to eliminate the sound, but I realized that it was up to me to detangle myself from that noise. So I had to move away from the noise. The noise was not going to leave me. And I think once I had that mindset, everything started progressing in the right direction. And that to me, I think is habituation, where you have to actively remove yourself from the sound that continuously goes in your ear. And it took me a good 6 months to get there. And the progress is still going on. So I'm very pleased with the journey now.
And people always ask me, they ask, when someone shares a success story, right, what is the volume of the tinnitus now? Has it changed much for you, Archana? Has your volume changed much from when it started?
It can be worse than what it was in the beginning at times, but those times are not around the day. It's not 100% of the times. It can be bad during bedtime, but then I have alternatives that I use, like the sound machine. So sound therapy certainly helps. I wear hearing aids, so it helps during the daytime. I listen to music, so that helps a little bit. And when I'm working with my students, I have my headphones, so that helps a little bit. And
So your
meditation.
so your tinnitus is still there, but your life is different. Your quality of life is different. How it affects you is different. Talk about that.
Correct. So the awareness is totally in my hands, which is what I realized later. I can either be annoyed by it and be aware of it 24/7, or there could be days, times of the day when I can just remove myself from that awareness and focus on something different. And initially, it was more noise, like create more noise and focus on that. But then, as I spoke with you, I moved on to focusing on silence and still could get myself away from the awareness of tinnitus. And I think that to me was the turning point where I could focus on meditating and breathing and the sound of my breathing and not so much on my tinnitus. So there came a point where I didn't have to have an external sound to move away from it.
And how did you approach managing tinnitus? What were you doing on a daily or weekly basis that was different than before you had tinnitus?
So many things. I remember you gave me things about anti-inflammatory diet. I read upon that. I started also walking a little bit, exercising more. I started playing a soft music before bedtime, or just a meditation routine before bedtime. I would get up and do some yoga, which helped me. I would have some soft music or sound running when I thought things got annoying for me at certain times of the day. And I think it was just a combination of multiple things. Initially, it was a frenzy, but then it settled into a routine where I know exactly how to channelize my thoughts or my awareness so that the bothersome effect of tinnitus goes away.
And this journey for you, it's not at the end, correct? You are still working on managing, you're still doing things in your life that are promoting healthy behaviors related to tinnitus, and you still have time that you can habituate further. How are you approaching the months and year to come?
I think work is keeping me busy, which is a good thing. That I was able to get back into work 100% about 2-3 months after starting to work with you. I could focus back on what other people were saying. Initially, I was annoyed by everyone in my house. I had gotten sensitive to sound. So everything became too loud for me, even though I have I have profound hearing loss in that year. Anytime my kids spoke up, or my parents, when they visit me, when they said something, my mom's and my son's pitch are very high, and it used to bother me a lot. And sometimes it was my students, sometimes it was my students' parents, and then I realized that it's not them or their pitch, it's my sensitivity has gone crazy. So for me, part of habituation was also that habituation. I have a feeling things got better, much better after the hearing aids, because that sharp, I don't know what to call it, that sharp discomfort in my ear is gone. It's settled down. It's much better with hearing aids, although I can hear a little bit better. I It doesn't feel screeching to me. And yes, this is the journey. What I want to do is I want to keep up with the routine. I don't want to miss out on it. But at the same time, there are days when I miss out on the routine and everything is still okay. It doesn't go out of hand. I'm not annoyed by it. I'm not upset or angry because of my tinnitus. I don't want to be away from people. It's okay for me to have dialogue with me. It's okay for me to be surrounded by people who are slightly loud or whatever. It's just, it's cheerful again. And
Yes.
so
So
that's a good thing.
we decided to use hearing aids as part of the retraining protocol.
Yes.
You got those through a local clinic, and that was a
Yes.
positive experience for you from what I heard. So that was very good. And your case showcases that there are many different aspects of managing tinnitus. There's the psychological, there's the holistic, and there's the sound therapy. And bringing them all together is often what a good approach will have. And I wanted to invite you on my YouTube channel, on this podcast, to showcase that you did put in work, that this didn't happen automatically. And who's to know exactly? If you did nothing and got no professional help, you probably would have habituated to some degree.
I don't think so.
Oh, and perhaps not. It's hard to
Mm.
say. It's hard to say. It's hard
Yeah.
to say. And what we do know is when you put all of these chips together, when you put all of these factors of tools together, it gives you the best chance of habituation, right?
Right. I think I was frenzied in my attempts to overcome it. What therapy helped me do is decipher everything and put everything in boxes and address one thing at a time and not go after everything at once. So I know I had my hearing aids kind of late in the situation that I could have had them right away, but I'm glad I did not, that I learned to first have a better control on my emotions and my awareness. I mentioned to you before, for me, the Buddhist meditation helped. Just the chanting of Om and just listening to that. It helped me focus because I was losing focus. I had, and my brain fog just got bad because I couldn't focus on anything that I was doing. I couldn't remember anything. My short term memory was like failing me. But after the therapy, I realized, okay, wait a minute. I need to step back and I need to compartmentalize everything, all my problems. So let's deal with one thing at a time. Let's deal with focus first, then sleep, then tolerating other people, and then came the hearing aids. So after the hearing aids, it was like, aha, okay, I'm in my journey where I can see the growth in a positive direction for sure. But I think a lot of work had to go into making that progress before the hearing aids came into picture.
Definitely a lot of work. And thank you for sharing your story. One reason that we publish this is to inspire others to showcase positive success stories with tinnitus. And take note, you still hear the sound,
Yes, I
but
do.
your quality of life and how it affects you is much improved. And
Yes,
what
100%.
messages do you have for someone who may have been in the position you were in 6 months ago?
The first thing I would say, it is not your fault. So stop beating up on yourself. And if people tell you it's all in your head, you're man, you just try to move away from it. You are going to be able to do all of that, but don't take it as criticism and avoid listening to non-professionals saying things because it did bother me. I am a sensitive person. I think self-compassion is extremely important in this case. So having self-compassion did help me a lot. And then, having that support system, therapy is extremely useful. I don't know which kind of therapy helps people. For me, this is what helped me the most. I think it was your approach was very holistic. It was not just did not work with me simply as an audiologist. It was much more holistic than that. And it chimed with what I was looking for. So that fit has to be there. And then you have to just trust and you will let go slowly. but I think no one should beat up on themselves if they, things don't just turn around very quickly. It could be, it was about 6, 7 months for me. It could be a year for some people. It could be 2 months for other people.
Archana, thank you for sharing your story. So valuable. You're strong. You've improved. You've put in work, and hopefully things continue to get better. And you've shown that you can live with sudden hearing loss, sudden tinnitus. It can get better. You can manage it. Even if those conditions are still there for the future, it's okay. So I really appreciate that. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And for those of you who are listening, please let us know in the comments of any questions you have for us. We will try our best to answer them. And make sure to check out the other podcast episodes to learn from myself, other professionals about tinnitus management and hearing loss. Thank you, everyone. Take care.